people have been coming up to me on the streets and saying, "Hey, Lou, you say your podcast is an exploration of creativity in science. What the hell does that exactly mean?" And here's my answer.
Okay.
Listeners, good science is about rigorously following the scientific method, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great science is about creativity and innovation. Good science is about answering questions. Great science is about asking questions. Great science is about asking questions no one else is asking. And that's exactly what we're doing on this podcast. We're exploring people who ask questions that no one else was asking. Title of my paper today is...
Go ahead.
Chickens prefer beautiful humans.
Okay.
The question this group asked is, if they train chickens to prefer the average-looking human, and then you show them pictures of uglier or more beautiful humans, will they react correspondingly?
Okay.
Okay. This paper was published in 2002 in the journal Nature. No, sorry. In the journal Human Nature. Which actually brings me to my first criticism, because I actually don't think they're studying human nature.
I mean, in a way they are, right? Because they're grading people as being ugly or beautiful.
Yes, but they're asking the chickens for their opinion. So I think they're actually studying chicken nature.
They should rename the journal.
Which actually, Chicken Nature is a journal. It's an internal publication of the Tyson chicken farms in Little Rock, Arkansas. They don't accept outside
publications.
Yeah,
I see.
Unfortunately, yeah. I tried submitting to them once.
Wow. What was the study? What was your study about?
I did a study where I examined the physics of why reheated, microwaved fried chicken batter gets soggy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a little recreational science of my own. Yeah.
Is that right?
They wouldn't even read it.
Should we expect to hear about this in a future episode?
No, I told you it's not published. The Chicken Nature people, they won't even read it.
Maybe you should submit it to Human Nature then.
Oh, I should, or Nature Physics. It's a backup.
Sure. Wait, Human Nature. Hold up. Human Nature, not to be confused with Human Genetics. Am I right?
Very, very different journals.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
So, this paper, like I said, they trained chicken to be attracted to average human faces, and then asked the chickens what they thought of uglier or more beautiful faces. Okay? So, the subjects of this paper are 6 chickens, 4 female, and 2 male.
Okay.
So they trained these chicken. This gets a little bit technical, so bear with me. But basically, they took average human, female, and male faces and showed them to the chicken. Who the chickens were deprived of food for like 12 hours. And then if they pecked at the correct face, they received the food reward.
Wait, what does it mean, an average face? What does that mean?
So they took... You've seen those faces where it's like the average face of a country?
Yeah. They combine all the little...
Yeah, the pixels. Yeah, it's an average of the pixels.
So see, I was thinking of a mannequin face. That's an average.
No, basically they took 35 pictures of 35 faces, female or male, and averaged them.
And then what does it mean if the chicken pecks at the right face?
Great question, Tirth. Great question. So, these people, remember I said they have 4 female chickens and 2 male chickens?
Yeah.
They trained the female chickens to preferentially peck at the male face. the male human face.
Of course
And
they
the
did.
male chickens to preferentially peck at the female face.
Of course they did. They're making a lot of assumptions about chicken sexual
Exactly.
orientation, by the way.
So let's just pause there for a second
Yes.
and think about what that means exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, second's over. These people care more about heteronormativity than
In
conspecific relations,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They care more, they're more concerned about homosexuality than bestiality. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Let's think about that. By the way, I know some people think that our first episode was kind of raunchy.
That's true.
And they assumed that was maybe the peak of our raunchiness. But guess what? No, it's not. All right? Every episode here on out is going to get more and more raunchy. Okay? You think this podcast is called Recreational Science? It's not. It's actually called Procreational Science. Okay? We tricked you. We tricked you, listeners. Welcome to Procreational Science.
We're cranking it up.
Where we train chickens to be attracted to humans. That's right. Okay, so you get the idea, right? So
Yeah.
female chicken, if they peck at the average male face, they get a food reward. If they peck at the female face, they don't get a reward.
Okay.
So then they took these two faces and tried to generate a set of 7 faces that ranged from most feminine to most masculine.
Okay.
So the first thing they did was average the average female and the average male face. Average those two together to generate like an androgynous face.
Okay.
Right? So that's the face in the middle.
Yep.
And then they extrapolated from the most average face to the average female face, and then extrapolated a little bit more to make that face even more feminine.
Okay.
And then again, to make an even more feminine face. Right?
Okay.
So you have the average human face, average female face, slightly more feminine female face, even more feminine female face. And then the same thing on the male side. So you have a total of 7 faces, ranging from most masculine to most feminine.
Okay.
And they asked the chickens to peck at these faces to register which ones they preferred. Okay. So as control, as sort of a calibrator, they got 14 undergraduate students, human students, 7 male, 7 female, and asked them to rate these 7 faces on a scale of 1 to 10 for most, like, the face they're most sexually attracted to.
Wait,
that's a control. That's a calibrator.
This is basically a precursor to Facebook. This is how Facebook was started.
Something like that, yeah.
Hot or not, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. You want to hear the results?
Yes.
So I'll tell you the human results first.
Okay.
What the human said.
Okay.
So the male and the female responses are actually pretty much the same. So for the sake of simplicity, I'll just describe the female results. Okay.
Okay.
So the female students, so there were 3 male faces, right? Hypermasculine, slightly more masculine, average masculine.
Yes.
Right? Those they found were the most attractive, right? And the 3 female faces they found were basically not at all attractive.
Okay.
Right? The 3 female faces, 0 in terms of attractiveness. The androgynous face is slightly better than those 3 female faces. Slightly better. But the average male face, the next most masculine one, is a lot more attractive than the average human face.
Okay.
And then the slightly more masculine one than that is slightly more attractive. And then it sort of just peaks out at there.
Okay.
Right. The next the most masculine face is not quite as attractive. It's a little bit below the second most masculine face. Okay.
Right. Okay.
The female chickens
Uh-huh.
pecked at these faces and then in the exact same frequency.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. The two, when graphed side by side, the curves look exactly the same.
No.
I don't know if you can see this. I'll show you.
Okay. I'm looking at this video, this graph from this paper right now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'll put the figure up on YouTube.
This is very tight, man.
But 1, 2, 3.
Wow. I see this.
Those are the female faces. Number 4 is the average face, slightly more attractive, right, than number 3.
Yeah.
And then the average male face, much more attractive.
And then it dips off, right? I see it. On the chickens, it plateaus.
Exactly.
But the
So what's
y-axis says
interesting-
proportion of something. I didn't see the whole
proportion
thing.
of responses.
Okay.
So it'd be either like the number of pecks, like the proportion of pecks, or the rating.
Uh-huh.
So the interesting is, right, for both the chickens and the humans,
Yeah, they prefer the same person, same face.
exactly, they prefer. So the average male face for them, both of them, is pretty attractive.
Uh-huh.
The average human face, the slightly less
It's
masculine
okay, so
one,
attractive.
is much
yeah.
less
Yeah.
attractive.
Yeah.
And the slightly more masculine face is slightly more attractive. It's exact same pattern. Isn't that crazy?
It's great. Well, it's something.
It's certainly something.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think that something is?
Nature. Human nature, I guess.
Or chicken nature.
Chicken nature.
Yeah.
Or
Mhm,
just nature.
mhm,
Maybe
mhm,
this thing
mhm.
should have been in just nature because it covers humans and chickens.
I totally agree. Could not agree more. Could not agree more.
How did they get informed consent from the chickens?
Also, very good question.
We don't know.
I think if the chicken eats the food, I think it's implied consent.
Seems a little dicey.
Implied
What
consent.
they could have done,
Nah.
They could have gone a bird lawyer. I know one, Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
Always Sunny. Uh-huh.
He knows
He's
bird
a
law.
bird lawyer.
Yes,
Okay.
he is. This is a well-known fact, man. Look it up. Hey, also, Rick and Morty. This is a show you and I both like.
I enjoy Rick and Morty.
There's a side character called Bird Person.
Oh yes.
you
Oh
think
yes.
this
He
is-
would love this study.
You think the
He would
study
love
is
this study.
You think the study is like the origin story of Bird Person?
Very possible. Very possible. Yeah. That's why he married Tammy.
Yeah, exactly. Something to think
Yeah.
about.
Which ended poorly for him. Very sad.
poorly. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, you might be wondering now, what's the significance of this paper?
I've been wondering that from the first the title, really.
Well, this paper suggests that human preferences arise from like a general property of nervous systems rather than like face-specific adaptations. Or at least that's what they claim, right? Which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It suggests that humans didn't evolve only to decode like information from faces, right? Because there's this theory. There's a couple of theories. They talk about this in the paper. The first theory is the mate quality hypothesis. These are theories on why we find certain faces more attractive.
Okay.
So the mate quality hypothesis is that humans, we receive a signal from the face about like the health or the quality of the mate, right? And we've evolved / adapted to respond to that.
Yeah.
And that's why we find certain people more attractive. The alternative hypothesis or the competing hypothesis is something called the bias hypothesis, which is that attractiveness may be due to biases that are inherent in the nervous system.
Okay.
Right. And that would predict that really any nervous system can develop preferences for like human faces, which they showed here. All right, Tirth, what do you think of the paper overall?
I liked it a lot.
A lot to think about.
I'm going to be pondering this over as I sleep tonight. I'll think about attraction
as you
and
stare into the face of your lovely fiance.
Yeah.
You'd be wondering, if I peck at her, will I get a food reward?
If she was a chicken. That's the other thing they should have done, man. They should have taken these undergrads and they should have shown them pictures of chickens and see if they should have rated chickens on a scale.
Oh,
that would have been the perfect
that would be a
study.
human nature paper. Can you train humans to be... That's actually a great idea.
Right.
I'm not even kidding.
Well,
that
listen,
experiment absolutely should have been done.
This has a lot of practical value, right? For example, if you're a big chicken company, let's say you're Chick-fil-A or Tyson Farms or whatever. By the way, please give us money. We're shouting you out. You want to pick the best chickens, right? So you can get the best eggs, you can get the best meat. There's a lot of utility to this.
And you think more attractive chickens produce more attractive eggs? Better tasting eggs?
This is one hypothesis. There's only...
Interesting.
I mean, we'd have to test it. We don't know.
Well, let's test it, and we'll talk about it on this pod.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
We can
Great.
drum up some interest and get some funding for a side project.
Yeah. Fantastic.